The Kansas City Chiefs came one game short from the first ever three-peat Super Bowl champs. Now they enter the 2025 free agency, wondering how they can get back to hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to do our first mock free agency for the Kansas City Chiefs for this offseason. Before we get into that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell, and while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Chiefs do this offseason. And Ryan, we're recording this. They've already made a couple of moves as well.
Yeah.
They've tagged Trey Smith, so his cap space is already being included. As of right now, it's looking like the Chiefs are going to be at about negative $17 million as of the recording of this video. But
Mhm.
likely with restructuring some contracts of some key players that are going to be on the team for the next several years, they're going to be able to clear up some cap space. And so we're going to dive into that here in a second. But as you see this free agency list, who are some of the other potential names you see the Chiefs having a lot of deep conversations on about whether they should keep them or not on the team?
Yeah, so I think you look, Trey Smith's already coming back. Justin Reid, Nick Bolton is another one. Treshaun Wharton, another guy that played a decent amount of snaps for them. Justin Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, I think is going to be a name that they traded for that we'll be interested to see what his decision is. Kareem Hunt gave them some valuable starting snaps there after Isaiah Pacheco went down. Juju Smith-Schuster came out and had a pretty good season for them. And then Matt Ariza as well. Their punter, I think, is going to be interesting to see what happens there with him. They have a lot of guys. You have Charles Omenihu down there, Derek Nottie, DJ Humphreys, Miko Hardman. Like they have a lot of guys that are kind of in a transition period, I guess, with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs don't necessarily have a ton of cap space to bring back a lot of these guys. You can even see going further down, Marquise Brown is in a free agency year. Carson Wentz, the backup quarterback as well. So I do think like they have a lot of questions kind of coming into this offseason. They started by retaining Trey Smith. Obviously, that offensive line had some struggles, and so you don't want to lose the best offensive lineman probably on that team. Maybe Joe Tooney is better, but that's up for debate. And not in this video. But yeah, they have a lot of guys, I think, to come in and potentially re-sign. So starting things off here with the Chiefs free agency. So we're doing two phases here. We're doing internal free agency and external free agency. So to clear up some cap space for the Chiefs, we went in, we restructured Patrick Mahomes' deal and Chris Jones's deal to pull out the maximum amount of money possible and push that can further down the road when that money comes due. And then we also pulled about another $10 million out of Travis Kelce's deal. That in total put the Chiefs at about 52 million, I think, in cap space.
Yeah.
And they were started out at, like you said, negative 17 million. And so that in and of itself, I think, gives them a little bit more flexibility this offseason. And so all in all, I think these are moves that they have to make at the very least, just to get back to the cap and then also to sign their incoming draft class. I think that's going to be really important for the Chiefs.
Yeah, and you made the point too. Everybody else, you go look at the roster. It is relatively young, and guys who
Mhm.
potentially are older and could clear up some cap space, like Joe Tooney, they're not going to cut, especially too with the Chiefs situation that they're in. Like to your point, Joe Tooney might be the best offensive lineman on the team.
Yeah.
And so I know Creed Humphrey's really good also too. And then you tag Trey Smith, so it's like you keep Joe Tooney, like, and you want to kick him in the guards, like you got to figure out what the tackle situation is, and
Yeah.
Jawan Taylor, could you improve on that position? Absolutely, but you can't really do anything as of right now with the current offensive line situation, and so there's not really too many other super moves. Like maybe, I mean, you could save $1 million here with like Sky Moore, but there's even some other guys down below that we didn't end up going into, guys that are rotational players, and normally they fill up. Um, and if they cut one of these guys for $800,000 cap space clearance, they re-sign somebody with about the
Yeah.
same cap space clearance. So we don't really go too much into those, but they can already clear up a bunch of space, as Ryan mentioned, with just just restructuring some of the deals and kind of pushing some cap space down the road with some of the star players are going to be there. So moving on to some internal free agency as well. I've been seeing some news that Justin Reid is not going to be re-signed with the Chiefs. However, I think that might just be noise. It's they could save $18 million by not re-signing him, but he was a key piece to the success of this defense last year. And so I think he pairs up really well with what Steve Spagnuolo wants to be doing as well. I
Yeah.
think he's a great complement to Trent McDuffie's lockdown corner as well. So you have that roaming safety in the backfield, so you can provide a lot of great pressure that Spagnuolo wants to do. I think they keep him, but we'll have to kind of wait and see. If they don't, we paid him about $18 million here, so maybe give or take 1 or 2 million both ways on how much they'd save. But you could use this money to go sign Cam
Mhm.
Robinson, and then you solve that left tackle position. You could sign this money and go and get Devontae Adams, and then you have another amazing weapon that could go across from Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. So I think they might keep Justin Reid, and they want to try and keep this defense as intact as possible, as this was the only reason why. Well, the main reason why the Chiefs were highly competitive last year was how great this defense was, and I think the same could
Yeah.
be applied as well with Nick Bolton. And you want to keep that middle linebacker, that main communicator, locked into your defense for the foreseeable future as well. So I think they go with Nick Bolton as well. And then lastly, the last main one that we end up doing is this is definitely just a value sign as well. But they did end up getting DJ Humphries uh, halfway through the season, and I think you keep him there just as a depth piece overall to this left tackle spot. Entering, if you're not able to really truly address that left tackle position when it comes to free agency or through the draft, or you're not confident with it, you re-sign him for $2 million. I think we did
Yeah.
2.5 there, and just make a serious competition there with Kingsley Suamatia, Wanya Morris, DJ Humphries.
Yeah.
May the best man win, and just try and figure it out, and hope you find lightning in a bottle. And so
Yeah.
I think that's the route that they end up going with their internal free agents.
Yeah, and kinda speaking of adding competition to that left tackle spot, I think the only external free agent move that we really have them making is going out and signing Jedrick Wills. So he's a guy, when he's been on the field, he's been playing at a pretty high level there out at left tackle, highly recruited guy. The biggest problem was he had some injury issues, and then he also had some problems with the Browns front office this past season and coaching staff. And so they just kind of went, and he just sat out the rest of the season, partially due to injury, partially due to disagreements with the staff there. And so I feel like he's definitely going to be hitting the open market. I think you can go and sign him to kind of a 1 year, $4 million deal, and just add one more piece into that room. Also does not prevent you from going out and drafting a guy at 31 that could potentially play left tackle, whether that's Josh Connerly, Ariante Ursary, either of those guys at
Exactly.
that point. So I feel like that's going to be the best situation for the Chiefs in this offseason. They did not bring back DeAndre Hopkins or Juju Smith-Schuster, so I do think adding another weapon in that wide receiver room is going to be important. Also, they still technically could they could go and clear up more cap space, pull money out of Joe Tooney's contract, and kick some of that money down the road as well. The problem is if they keep doing that, I think you get to like 2027, and it's like they only have like 15 guys on the roster, and they have 114 million dollars in cap space to go like uh to go do that. But you're going to have rookie contracts come due that you're going to want to extend guys on. You're going to have two draft classes that you're going to have to continue to pay as well. So that money only keeps going down. And I don't want them to I don't want to say out leverage themselves, but kick so much money down the road that eventually they'll hit a point where all that money is going to have to come due at a certain point, and they won't be able to make any moves. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting for the Chiefs kind of going forward. This offensive line needs a major revamp. I don't necessarily know if, well, I say offensive line. The tackle
Yeah.
position needs a major revamp on this team, and I feel like this could potentially be an offseason to do it. I expect them to invest pretty heavily at that position, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting on how they end up uh, figuring out that left tackle spot because that's the big
Mhm.
issue there too as well. Because when Joe Tooney did the best he could at left tackle, but then it really made a big void at the left guard spot
Yeah.
as well. And so it's just such a huge liability. And so I do think with skill position players, we'll see them address that in the draft. But with Rashi Rice coming back, you saw Xavier Worthy take a big step there as well. I actually think that they're okay at that position, all things considered, just because of Rashi Rice's injury was just devastating for this offense here. And so,
Yeah.
but we'll have to see. Still, Chiefs are still going to be one of the best teams, I think, in the league next year, just with the greatness that they have throughout that entire organization.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Kansas City Chiefs mock free agency. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.